want to start in the NFL this morning because that's the big news of the last 12 to 18 hours or so. It's DeAndre Hopkins, who you heard off the top there, going to Tennessee. And it was interesting to me, Erin, that the initial reaction to this from the books anyway was, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay. We're not going to touch any of our numbers. Win total still 7.5. Still right about where they were to win the AFC South, second, obviously behind the Jaguars. Still 40-1 on conference odds. Still 80-1 on Super Bowl odds. They're not touching any of the big numbers on Tennessee. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. I still think DeAndre Hopkins can be the kind of piece that gives this offense some balance when they need it. We know it's going to be driven by Derrick Henry, and as long as Derrick Henry is healthy, he's the engine that turns things in Tennessee. We know that there's a couple of young quarterbacks sitting there just waiting in the wings for Ryan Tannehill to start screwing things up if it should go sideways down the stretch. Especially, I suspect, it may be Will Levis time if this team starts out like 3-6 or something. But they're still in a division where I would think you get 3 or 4 wins not handed to you, but they're kind of chalked up, right? You've got Houston and Indy on the schedule. I'm surprised there wasn't at the very least a little bit of a move somewhere on the Tennessee numbers, given that DeAndre Hopkins gives Tannehill another weapon and a pretty solid weapon. I think Hopkins still has a good bit left in the tank.
The one thing that is interesting to me, Chris, is the win total.
Yeah.
7.5, as you mentioned. The thing is, the Jags are also going to welcome back Calvin Ridley. So they're going to be better all the way around too, I think. So 7.5 is intriguing to me if that's the way you want to look to bet it. However, they have an early week 7 bye. They start off at New Orleans. I think the Saints are going to be better. Who knows what we're going to get from the Chargers? I'm always thinking they shouldn't be bad, and then things happen to them.
And then
but early in the season, I think you can expect a W in that week 2 matchup. Then they're at the Browns. Then they host the Bengals, at the Colts, and then they host the Ravens before the bye. That's a rough stretch to start the season. I do think 7.5 is doable. I wonder, so when we saw Tyreek Hill leave the Chiefs and, everyone's like, oh, the Chiefs aren't going to be as good this year. And then they were. Maybe the books are thinking perhaps D-Hop isn't going to move the needle that much and we don't need to change things.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because he clearly becomes the number one target, right? Like, not that I'm not taking anything away or holding anything against Treylon Burks. I think you'll see another good year of growth from him. Westbrook-Akine, I think, is a nice secondary target as well. But again, it's all about Derrick Henry and him remaining healthy and Ryan Tannehill not trying to do too much and put too much of the offense on his shoulders. But you mentioned that schedule the first 7 weeks. Here's the thing. This is the weird thing this year about the AFC and NFC South divisions is they're playing each other and they're both terrible. And so you have teams that are not very good instantly getting, I would say, 3 to 4 wins kind of baked into their schedule, depending on how you want to look at it. Like, you make a great point that they don't go into the bye on an easy stretch, with the Ravens and Bengals sandwiched around the Colts. But I see the other part of that, and I see the Colts. I see the Browns, who are a huge question mark. I see the Saints, who are a huge question mark. Now, granted, those games are on the road, but I don't think it's entirely out of the question that Tennessee somehow finds themselves at the bye like 3-4, 4-3, and they're already halfway to that number. The Vikings have problems on defense, and they might not have addressed all of them this offseason. But anytime you got Justin Jefferson on your offense, you've got a chance to score. You add Jordan Addison to the mix. KJ Osborne hasn't gone anywhere. I think nobody's excited about losing Dalvin Cook, but Madison has shown that he can step up in Cook's absence, maybe not to the same extent. They've got weapons available, Hawkinson as well. I like the Vikings this year a lot more than most people, especially in that division where I think you got 3 or 4 wins in your back pocket based on we don't know what Jordan Love is, and we know exactly what the Bears are other than Justin Fields. So I'm
with you. I was high on him last year just because I know Kevin O'Connell from his days in Washington, and I thought this is a great chance for Kirk Cousins to have a guy who believes in him. He's got some weapons, and Kirk has cleaned up the turnovers a lot. I know the whole primetime thing. I got to look at the schedule and see how many primetime games they have.
I was just doing the same thing, pulling up the schedule to see when the primetime games are. Oh, no.
Maybe his psychologist will help him overcome the primetime woes.
Aaron,
but it seems since he left Washington... how many?
Bad news. Week 2, bang, right out of the gate, a trip to Philly on a Thursday night.
Oh, that's just cruel. Listen, hopefully he gets the the primetime issues are no longer a thing for him, because he was a turnover machine early in his career. And each year he's just getting better and better. He's also durable. You have to give him credit. The guy is very durable as well. So he's a competitor. He studies hard, just a good guy. So I'm rooting for him.
Man, their schedule is rough the first 7 or 8 weeks. Good Lord. So they open up at home against Tampa. Okay, W. Then the Thursday night trip to Philly that I mentioned. Then back home to face the Chargers, which is a little bit of a toss-up. I would think that, being in Minnesota, it'll be a toss-up. Then they go to Carolina. Okay, I'll get a dub there. Back home to face the Chiefs. Then on to Chicago. No. Then back home again to face the Niners.
God.
I mean, they're 3 of their first 4 home games are Chargers, Chiefs, Niners. Sprinkle in a road trip to Philly. I mean, the first 7 weeks, if they get out of there 4-3, I think you'll be okay with it. And then maybe
they got
opportunity.
5 primetime games. Oh my gosh, what are they doing to my guy Kirk? They're trying to bury him. This was absolutely cruel by the schedule makers. I am not okay with this.
So I know that plenty of people are going to go old man shaking their fist at the cloud on this one. LeBron changing his number back again to 23 because, number 6 was retired league-wide last year in honor of Bill Russell after his passing. So feel free to go ahead, Erin. Shake your fist at that cloud and tell me why you're tired of LeBron trying to find some reason to remain in the news cycle during the summer when there's nothing else going on.
So isn't this like the second time in like a week or 2 that he's done this? He used the opportunity at the ESPYs to announce that he's not retiring. Okay, so you're going to make it all about you there. Now you're changing your number again. It's just, he's becoming kind of like Aaron Rodgers a bit. Like, it's getting annoying to me. You're trying to find ways to always make things about you. So here's the thing, why I do feel bad saying that. He does a lot of great things, a lot of great charity work. He gives back to the community, but it's just kind of like, why? I don't. What, free agency, summer league? You need a little attention right now? Like, what are we doing here?
Which reminds me, by the way, to check Western Conference odds. This is what happens. We have a conversation and instantly my head goes there. They're 4th. They're tied for 3rd with the Warriors at plus 650 to win the West. So, I don't know. We still got a ways to go, and who knows what shakes out the rest of the
That is not a good enough number. Plus 650?
Plus 650.
No,
what would you need to take the Lakers for the West?
24. Something like that. Like 12. Anything bigger than 650. I mean, I think at 12 seems fair. Gosh, anything shorter than that is...
I would take 10. I think, to win the West.
Okay, 10. I agree.
Okay.
What are they
Kings,
to win it
by
all?
The way, to win it all, the Lakers are 12 to 1. Right there with right there with the Warriors again.
That seems the Yankees every year. Like, you just never get a good number. I think we're in that territory with LeBron and the Lakers. Like, they're just not going to give us a good number because people would bet it.
I mean, the Kings at 25 to 1 to win the West feels like a nice deep sleeper. I'm all about them taking the learning experience of this past year and using it to push themselves to the conference finals.
I made some nice money on the Kings last year too. I don't hate that at all.